So hello there, and this is my tearlaments deck profile. I actually got 3rd place at locals, which is great for me and showing I've improved the deck. This will be posted, this is obviously posted, and February 4th, I believe, is when the ban took effect. And because of that lack of a Shizu cards, I'm not playing the King of the Swamp version anymore. Okay, so let's start off the obligatory tier cards. 3 Rhino Heart, 3 Kashchira, 1 of each of the Tier Girl, 3 Pearl Reno. Don't really think you could go off this ratio. Maybe cut 1 Rhino Heart, but I don't really like that inconsistency. Much prefer if my deck is as consistent as possible, if you get what I mean. Just because it's a great normal summon, especially with the new engine I run in my extra deck. Next are the rest of the tier cards. I play 3 Scream, just great Miller. Again, you can go down to 2 and add it. This one has a blank slot. I just like 3, plus it has a great grave effect to search a trap. Next, Heartbeat. It's good for destroying cards on. It's good as main deck back row removal, and its effect to be sent to the graveyard does help if I mill all my traps, or specifically or if I specifically mill Crime because I want Crime on my end board. Next is Tearlaments Solyak. It is a imperm on the field, and that pops one of my tier monsters, and it also in the graveyard acts as a search. Why wouldn't you play it? Next is 1 Crime. It's an Omni Negate that also allows me to get banished tier cards, so in case I ban it's like a Havness off Tearlaments Kashchira, I can get it back into the deck. And this with Heartbeat combo is great because if I need to, I can if I mill it, I can always try and get Heartbeat into my grave. Lastly, for the main deck tier cards is Tearlaments Meta Noise. It's a Book of Moon and Sens. I'm not really sure about this. I like its graveyard effect, but you could also cut this for a flex slot. I am not playing Grief, which I do not like, and I will probably be correcting next time you see this list. And I will talk about that in possible changes, in the possible changes section at the end of the video I've added. Next, for the secondary engines I run, I first run a Danger package, a small one, 3 Danger Nessie. It's just an aqua. It's a dark aqua. It can special summon itself, which is good for a body on board, and it also can search me. My last Danger Mothman. Danger Mothman is simply just good. Either special summon, I draw a card, or I draw and discard, which might even be better. Next is the Destiny Hero package. I run 2 Malicious, 1 Denier. Pretty standard. I want it for Beatrice lines. And really wish Malicious had 3. I would play 3 of them amazingly. But sadly, it's Semid. And lastly, the last 2 engines I run are 2 Mudor. The 2 Ishizus are actually legal. Wish the Millers weren't banned, but apparently tier was too good. Not salty about that at all. And then I also run Hell Shadal Hall and Shadal Beast. Hell Shadal Hall acting as Great Miller, and Shadal Beast just acting as draw power. It also allows me to go into Wind to backup in case I mill terribly. Next is quote-unquote engine requirements. These aren't required to play the deck. Like, you should be playing these most likely. There's like 1 exception. But if able, you should be playing almost all of these. First is Destrudo. It just allows for synchro plays. Next is Tree Karma to search the field spell. We can't use its on-field effect, so we use its graveyard effect to search. Either a field spell, or a trap, or Solyak. Next, Terraforming, search the planet best card in the deck. Foolish Burial, I'm playing a graveyard deck. This is the obligatory include. 1 Kashchira Fenrir. If you can, you should be playing more than this 1 one Cashier Fenrir, and you don't need to play Cashier Fenrir, just really helps. And lastly, one Instant Fusion. You can cut Instant Fusion if you'd like. I just prefer Instant Fusion, plus it allows me to trigger all stuff, and it allows me to go into Bahamut Shark much more consistently. So I just don't want to cut off my accessibility to Bahamut Shark. Next is non-engine. I don't get to play much non-engine because it's tier element. But instead of the Kaijus, I play 2 DD Crow. I just felt a hand trap would be better, and DD Crow's great against Bestial Horus Orcus, which is a deck that's played a lot, or Hero, as well as what's his name? As well as Altergeist. I not liking this card being played against them very much. The Called By. Stop hand traps, particularly Shifter. I despise that card. It should not be legal. And then moving on to the extra deck. It starts off pretty simple with fusions. Kaleido Heart, one of the best fusions in the game in my opinion. Dracus Tapelia, Monster Negate, no brainer. Dangerous, it's a level 6 fusion. You just use it. You fuse with one of the Destiny heroes, summon it, send Malicious, banish Malicious, summon it, overlay go into Beatrice, then you get Foolish. So it's required if you're playing the Destiny hero engine. One Garua, it's good for OTK, it's good for attacking your opponent and stuff. And I don't play Super Poly in this deck, but if you choose to play Super Poly inside or even the main, if you substitute a few cards, you should almost always be running Garua. Then one Winda. This is the safety net in case you mill terribly, like you mill a Shadal Beast and a Merly and nothing else. You just put this down and pray that they don't have an answer. Mud Dragon. It's your target for instant fusion. It's a water, so it also helps you go into Bahamut Shark. It also just helps protecting your back row. It protects your dark monsters or any other monster you don't want being destroyed. Which is great. Next, moving on to the Xyz monsters, I play quite a bit of them. First is one Beatrice, one of the best cards in the game. It's a level 6 rank. You just Foolish. You can just use that as a Foolish Burial. You use the Destiny heroes to get into it. Next is one Time Thief Redoer. You just use it to trigger fusion effects or your Rhino Heart effects, either on your turn or your opponent's turn. Like, you can't get it started. For example, if you open, like, Shiren and Mudora or something, special summon Shiren, if you mill nothing, normal summon Mudora, overlay those two, go into Redoer, activate Redoer, hope that fusion's enough. Next is one Baguska. It just, if you draw bad, Baguska, pass, hope they don't have an answer. Next is Bahamut Shark. To get into Totally Awesome. Omni Negates are good, so what can I say? Not to mention being able to set it's also really good against a lot of decks right now. Next is my links. I played 3 of them. One IP Masquerena, one SP Little Knight. If I am borrowing this SP Little Knight, but if you do not have the money to play it or you can't borrow it for someone, you can replace it with Nightmare Unicorn, or you can just cut these 2 all together and have 2 flex slots in the extra deck. This just helps a lot. And then one Cross Sheet, it's triggered off of instant fusion. It allows you to recycle. Just good. Though I do wish I had room to play Underworld Goddess. Like, if I was cutting these 2, I would definitely make one of these Underworld Goddess with the Closed World. Just a good card. And lastly, the last card of my extra deck is Baron de Fleur. Just use it to get off of Destrudo. Again, Omni Negates and a pop is good. And lastly is my extra deck. So first, I play 3 Forbidden Droplets. Yes, I know these are Dark Rulers, but I don't have my Droplets right now, so, well, you just want Droplets is good for negating monsters, and you just discard cards you don't want, like you drew Tribute Karma. Oh no, gonna Droplets, mill Droplets, get into the graveyard, search the planet. Great card. Next is back row removal. Again, with Rescue Ace and Labyrinth running around, you need back row removal. I play 3 Cosmic Cyclone. I should be playing Twin Twisters, but I don't have them. 2 Lightning Storm. Would play 3 if I could. And 1 Feather Duster. Not that crazy, pretty standard. It's just good. I was actually thinking of cutting Feather Duster if you wanted flex slot, you know. Lastly, for miscellaneous. Miscellaneous, we've got 3 Droll. You should almost always have Droll in your sideboard. Just why wouldn't you? And I, personally, my locals has a lot of Chaos Cup typings. And one of the best players there is actually playing, again, Horus, Bestial, Orchist. Sorry, I keep forgetting the name of that deck. So I play a Bestial package, 2 Druid Swarm, 1 Magnemite. Would prefer if the ratio was 2 Magnemite, but 2 Magnemite, 1 Druid Swarm, but sadly, Magnemite's at 1. Sucks. So that's all for the actual deck itself, though I will talk about some substitutions I'm thinking of making. For example, I want to play Grief, and I just didn't have the opportunity to play Grief at the time. So what I would probably do is I would probably cut some combination of Keldo. I really don't want to, but you can cut Instant Fusion. Theoretically, 1 Rhinoheart, 1 Scream, Meta Noise. I don't like, again, another one I don't really like is Heartbeat. But I want to play 2 Tearlaments Grief. If you don't know what that does, it allows you to special summon a Tearlaments monster, and then after it's summoned, destroy a Tearlaments monster with the same type or attribute. Not Tearlaments, just a monster with the same type or attribute. It was sent to the graveyard. It acts as Crime's graveyard effect, but for monsters instead of spell traps. Pretty good. But currently what I'm thinking is I'm going to cut Keldo. The shufflers just aren't that good this format, and they're just unnecessary bricks, really, without the other 2 Ishizu cards. And either Instant Fusion or Scream, really. Because I like Meta Noise, don't want to go down on a Rhinoheart, and I really, really do not want to get out of Heartbeat. I just suggest that if you want to cut a Heartbeat, but for me personally, I think Crime's too important to leave to fate whether or not I mill it. Rhinoheart again instead of it. Instant Fusion's good, and it helps you get into a lot of stuff. So I'm currently thinking that I'm going to cut these 2 for 2 Grief, and that will make the deck infinitely more consistent. Plus, I want to get into the actual deck itself. I'm going to probably be posting a short series talking about learning Tearlaments, as I'm going to share what I've learned, as I'm actually teaching someone how to play Tier because they've gotten interested. So, but with the currently the most expensive part of Tier, the real expensive part, if you cut out obviously the SP, which you don't need to play, is Pearl Arenas. Pearl Arenas we're at their max 60. They're currently 25, which is decently affordable. Like, everything else is absurdly cheap. Everything else is like pennies. Like, I believe a Rhinoheart's $2, $2.25 each. Rarity Collections made stuff like Droplets super cheap. Same with Baron. That's why I'm playing those 2. So yeah, it's really just the Pearl Arenas, and with what's his name? Rarity Collection 2 coming out, you can get Pearl Arena. They're probably going to be printed out much cheaper. And if you want to play a different build, like the Synchro build, Race Soft is getting reprinted, which makes it cheaper as well. Just super helpful. Plus, there are a lot of these, like the expensive things, like the real expensive thing is Fenrir. Fenrir SP, those cards have substitutes that you could just easily go, oh, yeah, remove. You don't even need to play theoretically, you don't even need to play 3 field spell. I lasted a long time playing only 2, and if you really need to, you can play 1. That's what they did on Master Duel, and it was still tier 0. It's not suggested, but it's okay. It's playable. It's in existence. You can also play different non-engine this deck to adapt to your format. Like, if you're playing against a lot of, what would it be? Like, if you're playing against a lot of, like, if you're playing against a lot of decks that lose to DD Crow, you can put this as a 3rd DD Crow. If you play against Labyrinth, you might want to make this Ash or a Field Destroyer. If you're playing... And one of my funniest side card ideas, one of my favorite ones was Retaliating Sea, because I play Bee Trooper and other insect decks. I play it, and it would be really funny because you could play a main deck Macrocosmos that you could summon on your opponent's turn, especially against Rescue Ace, because of the Sinful Spoils cards, which just locks down their turn most of the time. Same with Labyrinth. But I do not suggest that. That's a jank play, but I might do it, and next time, if it goes well, we'll see. So if you guys would like to see me do a like a test of my, like, test hands of my deck, just let me know. I am fully willing to. I really love to share this deck. It is tied for my favorite deck of all time behind Inzectors. And considering Inzectors are unplayable currently until the Rika stuff comes out, which will be in a few months, we'll just gotta stick with tier. I'm probably on the most copium out of anyone playing this deck. I still think it's a top meta threat. Like, for example, it took up 4% of the meta of the regional breakdowns. We haven't had a YCS, and I think next YCS, people are going to realize that, oh, tier's still playable. Like, people were hailing, oh, tier's dead after the ban list in Kashtira and stuff. And then as soon as Kashtira went away, it made a big resurgence. I was playing it during Kashtira format, and I think the loss of the Ishizus really isn't that big of a deal. It's a slide hit consistency, but I still think this deck is really good. And with the soon reprints of Pearl Reno, I think it's also a great budget option. It will take a lot of skill, but if you do, it'll take a lot of skill to learn, but if you do invest the work, I think that this is probably one of the most rewarding decks you can play. Yes, you will sometimes have bad mills, sometimes you'll just die to that. Sometimes you will just win because you mill perfectly, like one time I was going up against Branded Buster Blader, and I milled on Tearlaments Kashtira on their turn, and I hit Tearlaments Kashtira, like they had already comboed, except they hadn't gone to the Buster Lock, which just stops you from playing the game at all. So I get a Merly, Tearlaments Kashtira, and what was it? And a Hellshadal Hall, they had 3 attributes on field in total when you include mine. I mill 5, hit a Winda. They were in the middle of their combo, so it's not like they fully ended it yet, but they had gotten to the point where if I just continued, they would have killed me no matter what hand traps I had. I hit them with a Winda. I also, off that 5, milled a Rhino Heart, Danger Nessie, and a Shiren. Fusion summoned Kaleido Heart, bounced their boss monster. They can't do anything under Winda. GG, moved my turn. Normal summon Rhino Heart. Link 2 into SP, banish their whole link into SP, or you can link away into anything really. Again, if you don't have SP, you can just link away into Cross Sheep. And GG, I just OTK'd them from there. Sometimes that will happen. Other times, you mill really bad, like against my Rescue Ace opponent. On my top 3, I lost the third game because I just did not mill anything. I just milled all of my, I milled my non-engine. I milled most of my engine requirements that don't work in the graveyard. I milled no tier names. It just hurt a ton, but what can you do? That sometimes happens. I still think this is a great deck, great meta contender. I feel like if you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to deal with a bit of inconsistency, but let's be real, Rescue Ace and Fire King still brick. We do that, it's good. But I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you think tearlaments still good without the Ishizu Millers? And what would you suggest substituting for my deck profile for my Griefs? If you have any questions, put them down below. And if you have your own personal, like your own text or your own thoughts on the deck that I might want to add to improve it. Besides transaction rollback, I know transaction rollback, I just haven't got my hands on one yet. I will probably, next time you see this deck list, I will have transaction rollback in this deck. Don't worry. But other than that, give me some idea. If you want, you can give me some ideas. And that will be all for this video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.